conscious and awaken, you heard about saneter TV. If you're conscious, why you hating? Some of us think too small, just too afraid to fall. If you're conscious and awaken, you know that the studio gets deep. Black news and history in the making. Let's get up from the fall, wise up and take it all.
Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another saneter TV House of Consciousness production. You already know what it is. We've been anticipating this for a long time. We have Rabbi Harry. How you doing?
Amazing.
I mean, you got to have some courage and heart to come up in the lion's den facing off with the young phenom. We have Brother Polight over here to my right, and he will be defending the black conscious community. Brother Harry is on this side, on my left, and he will be defending the Jewish,
the God of Israel.
The God of Israel. You heard it first from Harry. If the God of Israel existed, we're going to find that out right now. So without any further ado, who would like to set this thing off right here to get it popping?
Okay, good.
Brother Rich, do you have a question to set it off? Okay, well, we'll pass the mic to Brother Polight, and Polight going to set this thing off.
Okay, I'm hoping to have a great conversation right now so we can truly find our points of contention, so we could generate those theses or those diatribes for the lecture. What I posit, first and foremost, is that I'm following the ways of our ancestors who did not make subscriptions to the God concept, be it monotheistic or some of the creative archetypes that people have managed to come up with in this present day and time. More rather, they never felt the necessity to anthropomorphize or personify actualities in the universe in order to convey a message about principles and laws that existed. From the point where they have to humanize, okay, these occurrences in the universe is when people begin to be manipulated. So that's what I posit, that religions have been used and at great length to manipulate the masses for political purposes. And though I haven't come across a religion that didn't have very impressive edicts or tenets that the people should subscribe to, it still puts us in a conundrum, and as far as the fact that you have to sift through the misinformation that has been put or amalgamated with that data that is divine or positive or uplifting or cultivating. Because once you have all that truth, that's normally what people defer to when the confusion takes place in conversation. Once we identify where the confusion takes place, they normally defer our attention to the truth that also exists within the confines of their scriptures. So I'm here today to say that as a purportedly black man, or as a melanated brother, I would contend that in 2016, we have to remove ourselves from anything that our oppressors have introduced to us in our community.
So I guess, Harry,
you got to get the mic. Oh, you should be just sitting there.
So Harry, with Polight saying that, I guess my question, he kind of elaborated on the question I asked you off air with, when I was talking about these characters being real in the Bible, Abraham. Polight, I guess, with what he said, he feels as though your religion, the first thing you said was you represent the God of Israel. Your attempt to humanize these characters in the Bible is an attempt to manipulate the people. As we talked before, I know you're into the Kabbalah. I know you're into the esoteric side of religion. So why be into the esoteric side of religion, know the deeper workings in the universe and nature and how to manipulate nature? Because I heard you speak on that. But then when you go teach the people, you teach them about external forces. Why not, like what Brother Polight does, teach them about the internal forces? Because that will enable them to manipulate nature at a way greater pace than what we're seeing in current society. Why continue to tell them all of these things exist outside of them when it's all over that they exist inside of you?
Right. So I don't think one contradicts the other. If you're speaking about things that have what to do outside of yourself, doesn't mean that there are a lot of things to do within ourselves. And a lot of the principles that have to do with our own inner spirituality, we do learn from the narrative of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So for me, it's a very, not such a strong question. It's a very simple reality that you have this historical family that did exist and laid out some principles of spirituality for the world. And when we learn about that family, we learn about those spiritual principles, and we could live those principles within our life. Pass it over.
Okay. So obviously, I make no subscriptions to what I would identify as the mythos that they call the data is found in the Tanakh or the Torah or the New Testament or the Quran, though I believe that some of the information is predicated upon actual events that may have been embellished upon over time, where what I need to ask is, for the sake of knowing, the Jews or Hebrews, correct? The Jews or the Hebrews, are the original Jews black or are they white? I have a reason behind asking that question, but first I would like you to share your standpoint with our audience before I would expound on what I would like to say.
Thanks. It's actually interesting to note that the Torah and the Tanakh is better be someone real important for this one. No, it's all good. The Torah is very not specific about what the color of the people of Israel are. The Torah is specific about a lot of things in the most minute detail, but they're not very specific what the color of Israel was. That being the case, I mean, there are references, in Song of Songs, it does mention... hold on 1 second. We're going to pause for a moment. Just going to keep it flowing. So as I was saying, the Torah is not specific about what the color was, even though there are references to certain colors. Most interesting, the reference we see to color, a theme throughout, is found with Adam, whose name Adam has a red connotation to it, which was the same redness used to describe Esau, the brother of Jacob, which was the same red used to describe King David. Now I know there's different shades of red. I'm a pale pink red, as your community would call it, but there's also, from Africa, there's a dark soil red, and there's different shades of red. So for me, I think it's on purpose that the Torah doesn't stress what color the people of Israel were. We can assume, though, based on the time, the location back then, the people of Israel were dark-skinned. And in no way, shape, or form does joining or being a part of the people of Israel mean you have to have a certain color skin. So, yeah.
So just to understand you more, so I don't make no assumptions. To get this right, you're saying that the Torah doesn't have no specific element in which case they identify color as far as race is concerned. To my understanding, the Torah has God condemning certain groups of people or cursing certain groups of people. And even to my understanding that God even has chosen groups of people. I don't know if I'm in error. I want to ask you, is this true? Does God have an elite group of people or a chosen group of people, namely Israel, or is everybody just on equal playing field there?
It's a great question. So when referring to chosen and not chosen or cursed, that's really up to us, because being an Israelite or being part of the people of Israel is not an exclusive club. It was open source where people back then were able to join into it, as it says. Yeah. All right. You know, if you want to subscribe to the wisdom of Israel, you can be considered an Israelite and be included in this thing we call chosen. If you would like to be an evil person in sin, you will be included in what's called wicked. So there wasn't like a lottery and a draft that said, this is it, there's no trades going forward. It's available for who we want to be. Right.
So it's not a bloodline?
Well, the people of Israel started with a bloodline, but the scriptures are very clear that people can join the house of God and graft themselves in. There's no question about that. Even it says about Esau and the Egyptian, after the third generation, they're considered part of the Hebrew would be Kahal Hashem, the congregation of God. So you want to be righteous, make yourself chosen, do something good.
Yeah, I just wanted to finish the momentum of what I'm dealing with. All right, so my brother. So now, here's the issue that I'm having here. There appears that God favors a group over the other. That's just from my perspective of reading. There appears to be people that are cursed or people that are condemned. Did the curses ever run out that God has laid on specific groups of people? Do they run out? Does it have a maturation date, or are there still cursed people walking around to this present day? This is very important for me to understand before I can go into anything.
It's a great question. It's something before I would give my answer on. I would probably ask someone in my chain of authority, since all my wisdom I'm coming at you with is not my own, but it was told to me by my teacher, told to him by his teacher, that goes all the way back to Moses without missing a generation or a name. I would assume, based on what I've learned, that, yeah, there is an expiration on these curses, that people can lift themselves out of the curses. I can give a specific example, not necessarily a curse from God, but King David cursed a certain region of Israel, and in the future we do believe that curse gets lifted. So I would subscribe, personally, my own idea that the curses of God are not eternal. In the future to come they may be lifted, but again, that's something I would turn to my authorities on first.
All right. So now where I'm at is what brings about a curse of the people, that you would accredit it to being something that was God-driven. What are some plagues or some curses that God can unleash on a disobedient people?
I mean, we can go back to the Sodomites, right? They were sinning with, you can call it sinning, but they were an evil people. They didn't love one another. They only cared for themselves, and basically they were denied an opportunity to live in this earth. They were that chance was taken away from them. So if someone's alive, there's a purpose for them to be alive. God doesn't need someone here. He can just, like he did with the Sodomites, take them away. They had no opportunity to live anymore. So if someone's finding themselves on this earth and they're alive, then they have the opportunity to do good on an equal level. Even if they're cursed people, they can come out.
Okay. No problem. Now, good. So listen to what I'm saying. I want to keep my train of flow. So this is where I'm at right now, because I don't believe in this God of Israel at all. And now I've arrived at the point of contention where I could express my evaluation of this whole imaginary being. That's what I would say, that is God. God curses people for being disobedient or not following the laws, statutes, or commandments. Is it safe to say? I don't want to take anything out of context based on your disposition. The things that bring about a curse is not following the edict of the Torah as conveyed from God to Moses, so forth and so on. I just don't want to take nothing out of context.
Right.
What brings the curses?
It's not like there's these metaphysical laws that if you don't keep these mystical laws, you get cursed. It's basically people maybe you want to call it a karma system. If you're evil, you're inviting something upon yourself. So, for example, we were living in a time back then, thousands of years ago, where men used to make their children pass over hot fire and burn their feet for rituals, or they used to offer their kids to the gods on the mountaintops to appease their gods. So you could say, oh, because they did this, God cursed them. But really, there's this system in the world of, for better word, karma, where if you're going to sow seeds of evil, you're going to get that back on yourself. And you can call it God's curse or not, but it's really you're the one manifesting it. God didn't just wake up and curse someone because he felt like it. God gave us all free choice. And if someone did something that was completely wrong, he can expect that boomerang to hit him back.
No problem. So, has God ever interceded in the events of man's interfacing with each other? Has God ever stepped in and said, I'm going to lay a curse on this group of people or on this nation or on these masses because I am dissatisfied with in the manner in which they're carrying themselves as a group, as a species, as an organization, as a race? Has God ever stepped in and said, it's time to lay down the curse? I'm going to curse this person for that which they have done. Has God ever did that?
I believe so.
Okay. So now that we're talking about a God that steps in or intervenes in man's affairs, that's the God that I wanted to talk about.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, he's not intervening in man's affairs.
No, I wouldn't say that. Let me get the right.
Okay, go ahead. Let me hear this.
I'm going to stick with the karma route, that God's not coming in out of nowhere left field and cursing someone. He set up a system with his rules in the world. And when people step out of those rules of nature, they invite certain things upon themselves. So any curse that hits someone is a self-manifested curse, I believe.
No problem. So I'll ask you again, just in case you want to rephrase your original answer. Does God ever step in and curse a people because he is dissatisfied with the manner in which that they've done things? Because initially you said, I believe so. So I just want to be clear before I move forward. Does God ever step in and say, well, this has to stop right now? This got to stop.
So I don't know if I would use the word step in, so to say. Because God I'll just say it very clearly, because in the creation, God created a world of justice, and it has rules to itself. And if throughout history, if someone broke any of those rules of the code of the universe, he will invite a curse upon himself. So what you're going to say, God cursed him, when you're really saying is God created a system to allow fairness in the world, and when someone went out of that system, he brought it upon himself. So it was almost from the start, it was destined, that these were the structures of rules.
So where is the system for the white man that has been destroying black people, racially profiling black people, conducting police brutality, raping, robbing, and pillaging our villages, our communities, castrating us, kidnapping us, and it still goes on today? I would believe from a Judaic perspective that black people are cursed. I would believe that we must be cursed as a people because we're doing something wrong. If we're not cursed by God, then what would you say, Pritel, is the reason why black people have to undergo these type of things? That's what I want to know. Why are we suffering right now? Are black people cursed because they're not following the laws of God? Or is it something else?
First things first, you invited the right Jew to speak with, because I have love for all humans. So your community, I love them because they're humans. And so when you speak about the white man and the black man, maybe I'm outside of that because I have no hate for anyone. Secondly is, I don't want to play the comparing, contrasting game, who suffered more, who didn't suffer more. But I would like to say, you're complaining about the white man. My family was in Europe for perhaps 1,500 plus years. And we spoke about it on the radio interview that we had a horrible experience there of being raped, our houses burnt down, we weren't allowed to own land, getting arrested for nothing. So I totally understand European brutality because my family is dealing with the trauma of that as well. But like I said, I'm not here to compare and contrast who suffered more, but I will tell you why I would like to. Oh, okay, we could have that competition one day, who put it all on paper. Right. I mean, yeah, right. Okay. So I don't know if it's white on white or black on black. It's probably, we looked at it in Europe as the church versus not the church. or a European versus not a European. So for me, my family in Europe, we wouldn't associate with the people around us. We were doing our own thing in our own communities, and that bothered the Europeans or the church around us, and they took it out on us. So I don't know if the issue today is a white and black issue. It's a certain ideology versus not having that ideology and oppressing people who don't share that. But I would like to say I believe in purpose, and if the African-American human family was brought from Africa to America, in the worst conditions ever, which I believe needs to be addressed and needs to be meditated on every day by everyone in this country, what happened and who benefited off of it, who prospered off of it, and how to fix that. I have my own thoughts on that. But yeah, I do believe there's purpose for it. And imagine if the African-American was never taken from Africa to America and a bunch of Europeans came here and created evil doctrines and, went on for their global conquest. There may have been no checks and balance system in this country. Now that you do find yourself here and your community spread through every city in this country, imagine what would happen if you unified and you had a voice and a power. What would happen to the justice system in the world? You could bring great things to everyone. So maybe there's purpose that you're here.
Well, I would tell you, we don't really have room for imagination because we're dealing with the reality that every time we have tried to unify, the white man, the white race, his institution, and his systems have made sure that they've murdered our race. They murdered our leaders. It's very convenient that when we go into the Torah, you say the Torah doesn't specifically identify with race. It's very convenient when we talk to you about oppression, you don't want to identify specifically with race. You want to talk about institutions, but not the people that erected the institutions. So what I'm saying is this, per the original question, are black people cursed? I'm asking you from a Judaic perspective, looking at what our people are going through. Is your God cursing us? That's what I need to know. Is this a curse of your God? Whether he's stepping in, figuratively speaking or not, are we suffering from curses on behalf of your God?
Keep it real. Yeah.
Or is the black race cursed?
Right.
To your God and your perception of what's going on.
Right. It's a good question. I mean, it's not for me to tell you if you're cursed or not. It's for you to tell me, are you cursed or not? And I'll give you an example.
I don't believe in your doctrine. I need to know from your doctrinal perspective.
Right. Well, like I'm saying, I'm not going to play the compare and contrast game, but from my family's point of view, so we went through a Holocaust, right? We don't have to go into now how the Holocaust was financed, who made money off the Holocaust, who benefited. All I know is my grandparents actually watched their family get killed, body parts cut off, tests, all these things that were done to them. And when it was over, you know what we did? We said, let's unite and make purpose of this and grow. And now we believe there's spiritual teachings to the Holocaust of how it was something, as unfortunate it did something that brought new light into the world that was never been there before. So we're all about positive energy and making purpose of things. I'm going to keep using that word. So if you find yourself here, this is where you're finding yourself. You could either meditate on how, there's an imaginary God that you think is putting this imaginary curse in you, or you could say, let's mobilize. You said you're right. Community leaders did get killed. And I know me sitting here with you is dangerous for myself because to even arouse your community, we see historically is a dangerous thing. But that doesn't mean you're going to give up, right? Why is a startup successful? Because resilience. You're going to keep trying. And your nation will mobilize and they will unite and their voice will be beautiful. And I believe it and I'm here to help.
Okay, this is going too far. Right? It's going entirely too far. We got to get back to reality. So it's clear you don't want to address the race issues. It's on the table. It's on the table. You have a God. He curses people. And I'm just simply asking, from your Judaic perspective, are black people cursed? It's a fair question. Whether it makes you uncomfortable or not, it's a fair question because if curses exist, and you can read about people of old that have been cursed because they were not following the law, statutes, and commandments of God, or because they were sowing evil seeds, so to speak, and you can rationalize that those people have been cursed, then what is the harm in saying that your God has cursed black people? What is the harm in just saying black people are cursed by way of your perspective and understanding? How can you identify ancient people as being cursed, but then you are totally oblivious to present day people being cursed? What is making you feel so uncomfortable about just saying you black people are cursed? Why won't you just say it? You believe we're cursed. Or say you don't believe
straddle
we're
the
cursed.
fence.
Tell us something. Who's cursed? This is all based on your teachings. Just tell us, are black people cursed? Are they being cursed because they're not following the rules and regulations or the edicts of your God? Let's really get to the meat and potatoes of this question. We cannot avoid race. A big part of this event, we're going to have to address issues that make us both uncomfortable. We have to address it. So, Brother Harry, I'm going to call you a brother now because you're telling us that you love us. You're telling us that you for us. If you're going to be my brother, you have to come clean and tell the truth. Like we are in the house by ourselves, void of a camera, and all the same race, void of complexion. You keep it real with me like you would keep it real with your Jewish brother over here. Keep it real as though this camera is in here, because we all brothers, so we should be able to build as a black family, as a Jewish family, as a human family. Keep it real. All black people curse. Brother? Your family.
Right. So, I don't know if I'm an authority to speak on behalf of the Jewish people, but from my perspective, I don't think you're cursed. And I'd like to reference the story of Joseph. Joseph was thrown into a pit by his brothers and to die. And he made it to Egypt. He was taken out of the pit. He was working as a slave in someone's house. He was falsely accused of something. He was thrown into jail in Egypt. All these bad things happened to him. And through a miraculous story, he rose to power, became second in command in Egypt. And then his brothers came down and he had an opportunity to confront them. You know what he said to them? He said, "No, don't you see there was a plan here? There was purpose. Let's move forward right now." So you could say, was Joseph cursed because he was thrown in a pit and these bad things happened to him? You say, no, Joseph wasn't cursed. God of Israel loved him. He was just playing a role, and he had faith throughout his hardships that he was doing something positive. Now, obviously, Joseph wasn't castrated like some of your ancestors were, and he wasn't lynched and hung. So I'm not here to judge that. I do believe that this world is not the end-all, say-all world, where this reality is somewhat like a dream state. So suffering we experience in this world, maybe in the future world, we'll look back and see that was just a dream. It may not have been real suffering. I don't know. But I do know, instead of focusing on are you cursed or are you not cursed, focus on what you can actually do to combat evil in the world today.
One quick thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I stand here as a pantheist of the Kemetic science doctrine. This is to simply say that I don't believe in God. So my deepest contemplations isn't that black people are cursed. Here it is, I have somebody that professes that a God exists. Not only is it someone that professes that a God exists, but you take on the actual image of people that we would conceptualize to be our oppressors of old. And understanding that you are of the descendancy or the progeny of people who have strictly enforced a harder way of life for our people. Maybe not necessarily your most immediate family member like your father, but somewhere down the line, there's a horrible disadvantage taking place on account to our complexion. Having said that, I'm not here to complain to you about giving us something back. Not at all. I am here talking to a white male that is suggesting to me that we can share the same God. And if we share the same God, I want to share the same rights under your God. And this same white male can tell me about curses of old, but will not tell me about no one on the planet that is cursed today. That makes me very uncomfortable. It seems very disingenuous. It seems like you're hiding something, because I don't want to talk about people that we can't see if we're not going to reference those situations and identify with them today. So I wouldn't understand, why would you even teach or beseech to communicate any information about your scripture if you're not going to show the relevancy of it today? Instead, what you're doing is being very selective about what you choose to talk about. So I'm not here to petition to you about how to help the black community get better. I'm asking you to actually be more forthcoming and more honest about this thing you're calling God, because this God that you have favors y'all, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. But we are not getting a fair shake under your God. We are still oppressed today. And it would stand to reason that obviously black people are doing something wrong, and you guys are obviously doing something right, because you believe in God, and things are working incredibly well for you guys, and black people are trying to believe in this God, and it's working horribly wrong for us over here. So only thing I can conceive is if we share the same God, that I am willingly submitting to you as my master, because I don't understand how the two of us could pray to the same God and not it doesn't pan out equally. And if you love us so much, because that's you, I would implore that you tell us that this is just what makes you unique, or this is the teachings of the Torah, and all the Jews are communicating to each other that these are all people of humanity. We all love each other. We don't got this concept of color, complexion, and race. Just by chance, though, where basically most of us are only having wives of the same race, of the same religion. But no, we think everybody's of the human race, and we love everybody of the human race. But for some reason, we don't see that actualized in real time and in real life. All I'm simply saying as a black man today, with a great opportunity to talk to you, which is great for the viewership because people need to see the dialogue take place between the races, is healthy. You understand? So all I'm merely saying today is, why should a black person believe in the same God as a pale Jew? Why should a black person look at you, consider their disposition, see how their race is, and then see the effort from the Jew that says, we're brothers and we love you all, and we all part of humanity. We don't see complexion. The Torah doesn't teach us about complexion. But they see us suffering. Even as you come into this community now, you see us suffering, and you say, look, I'm in Israel and I'm building all sorts of stuff in Israel, and it's open to everybody. But we in the hood. Why you don't come in the hood and love your fellow brother? Why a plethora of Jews consecrated areas adjacent to the poor black community to do their own thing and live separate? And I ain't mad at you, up until the point where you tell me I'm your brother and you all love us. So since you love us and we're all brothers, why is there a Jewish community separate and different and adjacent from the black community? Where is the helping hand that I see you coming into the community with? Where's the love?
Right. First, I understand where your feelings are. Firstly, I'm on the ground in Israel where it almost is like a fairy tale land, where my prayer services include people from Ethiopia, people from China, people from India. So it's not even the black and white. It's a rainbow out there of humans, and we get along and we have a lot of love with each other. And that's probably going to be the example that's going to ripple off to the world. Now, when you reference the Jewish people today and the way they live, insulated and doing their own thing, you have to understand they're also a few thousand years in a dark exile where they don't have access to their former glory of who they once were and the mental capabilities they once had. So right now, the Jewish community, I would say, is in survival mode. There's a tremendous spiritual, darkness going through every community today, and we're doing what we can to stay alive. When you ask how come we're not coming to your community and helping out with all the resources that are potentially available, well, part of what my mission is in this world, and we're going to speak about it at the debate, is I actually do have a plan of how to do that, of how to open source the blessings that the Jewish people, looks like they have, that could become available for everyone. And I'd like to also stress something else that the Jewish community has that maybe no other people in the world has, is a tremendous level of unity. I can go to any single city in the world today, unannounced, and there will be a Jewish family who doesn't know me for anything, who will let me sleep in their house, will give me food, will lend me money if I need it, and that is 100% across the board, across the globe. That unity is something that has to come out of the Jewish community and into the world, and when that does, we can consider it a global family.
Jewish as in white Jewish community?
No, not at all. I mean, we got Jews in Iraq, Iran, Morocco, the Northern Africa, up in Europe, China, India. So it's a global thing, and it's taken on a lot of colors right now, and that's what's so beautiful about it. But I did have a question for you. I wanted to throw it back at you because you keep referencing that you don't believe in God and you don't subscribe to that. So what is your version of, let's call it the creator of the universe, where this universe came from? What's the source of it? Is this just a random explosion? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh, this is absolutely no problem. I'm glad you asked me that question. And firstly, again, you still got to address the race issues. And we have to stop playing pretend, because in Israel, there's people who identify themselves as Hebrews still to present day being oppressed. Okay. And then secondly, the only reason they were able to get any kind of land, our darker brothers over there, not all of them, is because they said, we'll join your military. And in exchange of them joining Israel's military, concessions were made for them to have a space to live in, which are not even conducive for human beings. But we can get into that another time because I'm going to answer this question. But who's misinformed? Oh, okay. No, we'll bring the facts out. Okay, you could do it. Well, we could bring the facts out.
I mean, you may be referencing the Village of Peace, the African Americans who came from Chicago and moved to Israel. I visited them, very close with them. I was at the funeral services for Ben Ami, their leader. They live in Dimona near a nuclear reactor. But they don't live alone. They live next to a huge city of Israelis who live right next to them and share the same plot of land. So it's not like there's a nuclear reactor and an African-American community. There's a nuclear reactor, a huge Israeli community, and a very teeny tiny African-American community who I met the people on the ground out there, and they are serving, and they love to serve because they believe their army is bringing freedom to the world. And the technology coming out of Israel because of such a good army is what's going to end up saving us. You see what's going on in Flint right now, right? You can't drink the water. You don't think that's going to happen soon in New York City, California? What's going to be? Israel's got your straw. They're going to send you a straw that you drink from that water and it's going to filter it. No other nation's providing this technology. So as far as there are issues of racism, which I do see was an issue in the past, the people are going to win because I'm a man on the ground. I'm not a politician. I don't get any Jew gold paid to my bank account. I work hard. I go to the bank, and every week I have enough to go grocery shopping. And the people are what's going to be the future. So I'm not going to be intimidated by a bad system of old. I'm going to just work forward on a good plan. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I'm going to let you answer this question. Oh, man, Harry, I don't want to be too hard on you because I want you to come to the debate. I don't want you to run. But the way you are giving off your answers now, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get slaughtered. You got to strap up and go in. We want you to go hard. We want to hear the truth. And right now, I think you're lying. I'm not going to say you're lying. I'm going to say you're lying. I'm not going to say I think. I'm going to say you're lying. Because we know what's going on. I want to ask you this question, Harry. Talk about the chosen people of God. Who do you say is the chosen people of God? Keep it real. Let's not play games here because we've been hearing the Jews for decades saying how they are the chosen people of God. We respect a man's honesty. You're not going to hurt our feelings. We used to this. I want you to keep it real for us, Harry. Who you consider to be the chosen people of God?
I think you're coming out here telling me that I'm going to get slayed at this thing, and you're trying to tell me I'm lying. I think what I just did is I took all your years of thinking what is and just in a few minutes just changed it. And that's just throwing you guys all off. Now, back to what I was saying. A chosen person is... I'm telling you, I got a lot of love in me. You guys not ready for it. Just wait for the debate. But the chosen people is not a race, is not a color, it's not someone that comes from a specific region. It is someone who identifies with a certain ideology that comes from the teachings of Moses on the mountain, which, like I'm saying, I'm on the ground in Israel. There's people from China, India, Africa. They're my brothers.
The chosen people of God.
Yes.
That's called converts.
Yeah, that's okay. That's great. The chosen people of God could be anyone who identifies with his narrative. I'm telling you
That's called, in our community, buck dance.
Right.
It's called buck dance.
Well, I'm telling you, in my community, this has been the teachings for 2,000 plus years, taught from student to teacher, people who put their life on the line, who said when the Christian came up to him and said, convert, I'm going to put a sword to your neck, he said, kill me because I want my children to know this information. So what I'm telling you right now is not me coming up with my own answers. This is the Judean legend.
So have you ever corrected anybody in your community?
All day.
When you hear them say, we are the chosen people of God, you corrected them and said...
Well, when they say we, they don't say me as a white man. They say we as the humans who subscribe to the teachings of Moses.
No, you're saying a certain ideology.
Yes. Then when we say we, we're... Try to come at me. Let's see what you got.
He's not going to be able to slip. I'm enjoying this because he has to remember things that he said before and things that he's saying right now. This is all chess. Because he identifies with a chosen group of people. He might have forgot some of the things he's been saying. But it's okay. It's okay. Because he could be of the seed of his father. Okay? So we're not going to have a problem. Oh, yeah, I would love you to ask a question. Keep in mind I still have to answer his question.
Come on in, let him in. Go ahead. Go over there.
Yeah, come on. Get in here. There you go. Let's get you guys in here.
So I feel that the rabbi, is coming with a perspective, and he's basically telling to you that you have a choice to choose to be what we're calling chosen people or not. And all that everyone's coming back at the rabbi and saying is, whoa, so you guys have this community and you guys think that you're the chosen people and we're not. But what we're trying to communicate is that it's your opportunity. So why do you fight it?
Let me show you this. Here's where the mistake keeps getting made. I'm not interested in being the chosen group because that, by default, would sound like I want to conform or subscribe to your doctrine. I believe your doctrine is man-made. I believe it's a fabrication of our ancient Kemetic texts and other ancestors, other brothers and sisters of antiquity. I don't believe a word that any of you guys say anytime you quote anything from that book because I might as well read it from the original manuscripts. So I'm not concerned with being the original if I'm actually cursed. These are ideas that have plagued our community because brothers and sisters in our community, despite the fact that they had their tongue stripped out their mouth, okay, despite the fact that they were forced to be illiterate, and then when they learned how to read, they was told what exactly to read. Despite that fact, we have brothers and sisters today that can actually read, and the brothers and sisters today that are calling themselves Hebrews, which I don't call myself a Hebrew. But the brothers and sisters today that call themselves Hebrews, they are not disillusioned. They are reading things in that book that is intimating that they are the chosen people. They are reading things in that book that is giving them the impression that you guys or somebody else are a cursed people. And now we sit here with you guys giving us the heal the world story, and I love it. It sounds great and it's amazing. The only problem is that's not coming out of those books that you guys are reading. Now, if you want to create a new doctrine, I love your doctrine. It sounds dope. I hope there's more of you guys around. You guys are some of the flyest people that I know. It's a cool doctrine. But there's something going on in that book. And I know my brothers in the community are not tripping. They are reading things about people being cursed. They're reading things about them being God's chosen children. They're reading things about who they can have sex with and who they cannot have sex with. They're reading things about the illegitimate Jews, or the false or the fake Hebrews, or the ones that are not God's seed, and how to deal with them. They are not making these things up. My brothers, who I don't oftentimes agree with about certain things, but I'm not going to sit here and act like the brothers in the community that say they are Hebrews just made all this shit up, and you guys got the real perspective, because then what was they reading this whole time? And don't tell me that they are disillusioned. Don't tell me they're not reading about chosen people and cursed seeds, but now you come here and no one's cursed. And it doesn't even make a reference to blood. There's no bloodline. There's no lineage. All of that is moot. It's null and void. We're all a human family. Hell no, it doesn't say that in that book. So this is a lie. This is where the problem is. So it's not so much that he's coming with a doctrine of peace and love. I don't have a problem with that. It's the fact that he says he's a Jew. It's the fact that he says he makes subscriptions to the Torah. And since he's saying that, the things that he's saying is contradicting the things that are going on within that book. Maybe you don't get this part. This is the part that you got to get. A great deal of the confusion coming in the community is coming out of the religious belief system that you guys subscribe to. Now you get on camera and you are totally oblivious to the sectarian aspect of it, the totalitarian aspect of it, the racial aspect of the doctrine, the cursing of the God, the putting one group of people over another people, and now you sit here and you smile in our faces. You actually are smiling. You are looking like you are in awe, or like you are flabbergasted, like where is this guy coming from and getting this information? We are not crazy. You got to keep it real.
I mean, first thing I got to correct you because you said it's all about bloodline, and I like.
I didn't say it's all about bloodline. They're seeing things about bloodline.
Well, you were trying to intimidate that I was making something up about a global family. When I'm going to reiterate what I said before, is that the house of Israel started from a bloodline, then it became open source for people who wanted to join in the house were able to.
God said that.
Yes. It says to the Edomite and to the Egyptian, if they join you to the third generation, they're grafted in, called the Kahal Hashem, to the congregation of God. And it says you got to love him and treat him like a brother and treat him equal. And the same law applies for the both of them. So I'm just going to have to correct you over there that there is such a thing as a global family under the God of Israel. And it has nothing to do with the white man. Now, if you see racism today, that's not being pulled from the scriptures. That's just being pulled from having a bad parent, having a bad community leader, and not being educated on it. Racism is an issue in this country. I do appreciate that I am a white man because when I travel through security in airports, I get a lot of high fives, thumbs up. A cop pulls me over, he asks me if I'm okay. So I understand. Yeah, no. I'm just playing the cards. No, I work really hard to get my groceries on Thursdays. You know, I work really hard. I sweat. I got a wife and I got kids, so I'm not on the beach every day. You know, throwing things in the air, counting it. I have a hard life and I struggle and I get by. But I do understand there's a much larger issue, and I don't think that the root of that issue of racism is coming from the Jewish people. I believe it's coming from the church, and I believe that they instilled in your community the concept of race and the concept of other. And you're saying, you know, like Zion mentioned the other day on the radio show, is you're saying we have to be, you know, to ourselves, you know, because you're African American and you have to stick within yourselves. But that concept of you being African and me being white was taught to you by the European, I believe. I don't think 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, there was such a concept of race wars. I mean, there could have been class wars, but
Harry, I
yeah.
dare you to go on record and say you have no idea that the Jews finance slavery.
Oh, when you say the Jews, you can't speak on behalf of the Jews. You may say a few wealthy Jewish families who were considered sinners or evil financed the slave trade, or financed a few ships, or insured a few ships.
Have your people not reaped the benefits off of slavery?
Like I'm saying, I don't get any Jew gold sent to me every week, so I don't know what you're saying. I'm not benefiting. I work hard for my food, and my community works hard for their food. Yes, there are a few elite families, and you know what? Those families gave tithes over to, I'm sure you know about the Freemasons. You subscribe to that, right? So there are Jewish people who may have left their alliance towards the rabbi of their community, the Torah of their community. So I asked my rabbi very clear. I said, what do we say about a Jewish man who financed a ship on a slave trade, or who insured a ship on a slave trade? What do we consider that man? And my rabbi said very simple, he's a Rasha, he's an evil man. You're not allowed to do that according to the law. So because a Jewish man sinned, even some of the kings of Israel were sinners, they were considered wicked men. But that doesn't mean the people of Israel were. Yes, my brother.
Let me tell you this. Here's the issue. Okay? You have a ring right here. And a man that subscribed, not a man, let's not do it, it's not a Jew. Jews, get over here and say, man, these are these black people's valuables. Let's take this. Right? And then they take it.
And parlay it into an empire.
They take it and they create abundance from what they took. Now, you're born in the interim of all of this going on, and you make children, and this thing still exists in you guys' possession. And now you believe in heal the world, throw flowers in the air, smell the aroma of peace and love, and never mind racism, never mind color, never mind complexion, while you still keep this shit in your possession. That's the problem we talking about. So if you love us so much, render back onto the people that which was taken. That's all we saying. If it is so real, because you don't receive no gold, and yes, you do. You have been receiving concessions from that which your ancestors have done for the longest. If you truly want to redeem yourself before the people, what y'all going to do is say, you know what? I can't live another day in this beautiful home. Right. I can't live another day on this beautiful land. Because I believe you're not the one living next to the toxic waste like the brothers that are living there next to some white folks. I believe you're wise enough not to live next to nothing like that. I believe that you should understand at this point in conversation that inevitably you are still reaping the benefits directly and indirectly from that which your ancestors have done. While we are also The stress has been incurred perpetually from one generation to the next from that which has been done to us in light of your ancestors, though other people's ancestors have capitalized off our oppression as well. So if you love us so much like you say, and you are talking about a doctrine of karma, the question is, can the child's child still obtain that which has been stolen without being held accountable for it? While another people are here in their diaspora, suffering and displaced, only conceiving what life may have been like had these events not transpired. How then can you sit here and say, I'm not reaping none of the benefits? Of course you are. So instead of the love doctrine, it's very easy. You know, I can't live another day like this. Keep the house. I'm going to go in the hood. I'm going to start eating rice and wings. I'm going to start drinking the 50-cent soda. I can't do this no more. That's what we talking about. Keep it real, Harry. Keep it real.
It's gonna get real. Yeah, I was just about to bring up that he didn't answer my question. I don't know if we're gonna have time to get to it today because I got a flight. Okay, but I'm just gonna say very quickly. Fortunate for you, fortunate for everyone in the room, I am the Jew who felt your pain and said, how can I live in a house when I see what's happening next to us? And I am the Jew who has a plan, and I've taken actions, and I'm going to present it. And I think I can really, really address the issue. You said before, it's not about that. You don't want me to come up with a plan, but you want me to feel bad? Yeah, you kind of did say that. But
That's called reparations.
Right.
Anything you give back to black people.
So here we go. We're complaining about a bunch of Jews who created this game called Monopoly, and they got this thing called Monopoly money. But why would we give you reparations in the form of Monopoly money? Let's collectively break off the game, because I don't like this game either.
You're making a mistake.
You sure?
Yes, this is the mistake you're making. Let me show you.
Yeah.
It's very short. I said anything you give to black people from now to the rest of your life is reparations. That's what I'm telling you. Anything you give back is not a good deed, it's reparations. Anything you give back to black people is due. That's what I'm telling you. You give something to a black person today, it is due. There's no kudos, there's no pat on your back, there's no thank you for doing something nice to me. No, that's what I'm going to give another brother who gives me something. I'm going to say thank you, I appreciate that. But if you give me something, it is reparations. It is long overdue, and I'm waiting for you to give me more. That's how this works.
Well, first of all, my family was nowhere near the slave ports or the slave industry, my personal family. So when you say you're talking about me. I have absolutely nothing to do with it. Oh, no, and like I said, I'm not collecting any money from it. No, I work really hard, and I do double shift. I was working 3, 4, 5 jobs just to pay my bills and get food for my family. So I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and hear you telling me. Right. Like I'm saying, so forget monopoly money, because this whole fiat system not backed by gold isn't real, and I'm not trying to play that game. I'm going. No, I'm saving. No, I'm a relaxed guy, but I'm trying to say to you. Right. Yeah.
Everybody in here saying, "Oh man, he's coming off a little weak." Hey Harry, you got to turn it up, bro.
Harry got to do his style.
I'm trying to say, instead of weak.
Trying to rock you to sleep for like.
No, people are just want to hear something from me that they're not going to hear, because I'm not subscribing to the truths that you all been meditating on for a while. But I will say one thing. I have a plan, and I think it's going to be global, and you're going to hear about it soon.
I wish you the best.
Mark my words. Thank you, brother.
It's reparations.
Yeah, before we wrap this up, yeah, like I said, reparations not going to come in the form of real food, because right now we're eating poison, right? You go to the community. My community's got poison also. The supermarket's all poison. We got to get off that system. We got to get off the fiat system. We got to have decentralized systems. We got to have empowered communities. And this is not just me saying I got a vision, I got a dream. I have an actual plan. You and I may even run for president one day and enact that plan, but let's see what we're going to do. I would like to hear your answer, though, before we wrap this up on the God choice. And then I got to fly to Israel. I'm going back to the homeland, everyone.
That's right. Tell the homies living next to the toxic waste we said what's up. Yes, this is what I want to tell you. When it comes to this God concept, again, I said, and I actually answered this earlier, that I'm a pantheist of the Kemetic science. Okay? What this would mean is that I don't feel the necessity to anthropomorphize or personify occurrences, systems, and laws in the universe. I don't have to use my ego as a vain attempt to establish what has been taking place of old or in primeval times, give it eyes, nose, and lips, and then make it intervene or intercede in the mundane clauses of human beings. I don't have to do that. When we dealing with our ancient Kemetic doctrine, we could find out that before the doctrine was humanized, we just conceptualized that all was within all. That's it. All is in all. All things. Nature is all things, and sounds obviously like a cognate of the word nature. It's all things. Even if you go to the Pere and Haru or Pakatu Shipama 109, you're going to find that they talk about the sycamore tree. And the sycamore, there's 2 sycamore trees in between the sun. And then it is enwrapped by Shu. And we say, man, what does that have to do with anything? Or if you go into Pyramid Text 1846, and they make a similar analogy about these sycamore trees again, and these sycamore trees' relationship with Nu. And it's taking something from Nu, which is abyss, a primordial abyss. But the sycamore tree is taking something from there. But what they're alluding to is a nitrogen cycle. Because when you go into the doctrine, when you go into the information, you start realizing that there was no concept of no gods. Because when you do the doctrine, you say, okay, hold on. What is carbon? We learned that what? Matter, when matter dissipates, it becomes energy. And energy is the catalyst for matter. Matter then transmutes into isotopes of an element. In this particular case, when we read about the sycamore in Pere Emharu 109, we find that we are talking about a carbon isotope. By isotope, we mean that the nucleons, there's a disparity amongst the nucleons. If it's carbon-12, then we know that it's 6 protons and 6 neutrons, and that makes up the nucleons. But if carbon-14 base, then we're talking about 6 protons and 8 neutrons. What we wind up finding out when we was talking about the sycamore that stands, the 2 sycamore trees that stand in between the sun, in respect to Shu, is that they was talking about what? They was talking about how the carbon feeds the vegetation. I'm cutting it concise, but I'll show you the actual glyphs to show you what did this all mean. People are saying Shu is an actual being. They're saying Ray, which is the sun, was an actual physical being. But what they was demonstrating was that these energies precipitated matter and go through a constant cycle of immaterial and material things. All is mental, point blank. Consciousness is consciousness. And when consciousness bears witness to itself, it creates a domino effect of illusion called the physical realm. That's what I'm dealing with. Energy from consciousness. That's it. All is mental. I don't have no concept of no God. The second you tell me about a guy named Moses and water parting, I pass. The second you tell me 70 people leave their land and held in exile in another land, and then God puts a curse on the Pharaoh and the rest of the people of that land, and the 70 people that left their land because it was famine, because the land couldn't yield them no food, now are back to return. 400,000 families deep, near 2 million people. Back to what land? The same land that couldn't yield food for 70 people. Now they're going to come back 2 million people deep. You see what I'm saying? I don't believe in that stuff. You have the right to believe in whatever you believe in out there. It's not my right to impose my belief on your belief. It's not my right to impose myself and my thoughts on your belief. But if you come into a forum where we can go into a diatribe or into deliberation about these particular events, then I'm going to tell you you have no right to tell these things to thinking human beings, because it's asinine. You got the right to believe what you believe. If I see you down the block, you tell me you believe in it, I'm going to respect you every day of the week, because your personal relationship with God is your personal relationship with God. But if we get into a debate, you should know better than to talk to me about these things, because you know yourself you can't prove it. If you just gave me the rules, if you just gave me the laws, don't kill, thou shalt not kill, love your mother, honor your father. If you just gave me those rules, I would say I'm down with your doctrine. I would appreciate it. Once you start telling me God is sticking his hand into events and making things change and cursing other people and parting waters or walking on water or turning 70 people to 400,000 people, 2 million families. Once you start telling me about all these things and alligators coming out of nowhere and the Pharaoh's plague with all sorts of gnats and flies, and he knew I got to let these people go. Once you start telling me those things, the Abraham, the Isaac, the Jacob, sacrifice your son before the fire. Oh, hold on. Before you get ready to burn him, pull him back. I'm glad that you are rolling with me. God just wanted to see if you was going to burn a nigga. Once you start doing that, I don't want to deal with that information no more.
Let me just
Hey, peace.
Harry, one last question.
Yeah.
Real quick. Did the Jews build the pyramids?
I think the Torah says they built the cities of Pithom and Ramses. So that's what I can comment on. I do know, you're talking about sea splitting, all these mystical things. It seems like you like science. I don't think it's a far-fetched thing in the world of science to see water split. You take an electrical rod or some magnet technology, you can move water very easily. I do believe that the Egyptians were producing electricity. I do believe the ancient Israelites were producing electricity. I don't think you answered where the whole thing came from yet, but
From the mind.
consciousness, right? So that's a Kabbalistic concept also, but we actually have a creator standing behind that. But I'd like to end on this note. Right, yeah, you know what? I agree with you. There is no need to have all that conversation when it comes down to the issues in the world today, what's going on in your community, and what we could do to fix the world. We don't need to talk about God. I always say, let's fix the world, then let's get a cup of tea, and we'll talk about which God is right.
That's right, but at this debate, we're going to talk about your God.
Oh, we could talk about it. If you want to talk about saving the world, we could do that. We could separate that from the God conversation. These are two separate things. But
Save the world after.
right, we could mix it. All right, everyone. Yeah,
Thank Harry for coming and showing up. That's what's up.
it's been real.
Hey, yo, for the Hebrews that's out there, man, I want y'all to load up that chat room of all the verses where you guys are the chosen people of Israel, because for some reason, these guys don't know nothing about that. They never heard of that. This shit is the biggest conspiracy I've ever seen in my life, I've ever heard in my life. I've never seen people subscribe to the Torah totally oblivious to the chosen people of Israel. I've never seen this a day in my life. You guys are amazing for that.
Yeah. My one critique to the Israelite African American community is, you may fulfill that biblical prophecy, right? Deuteronomy 28:68, getting brought on ships, right? Very, very, very amazing. It all lines up. It's beautiful. But that doesn't mean that other people around the world also aren't part of the house of Israel, as the verses say. So I feel when I'm speaking to the African-American Israelite, they're kind of saying, we are the chosen people, but that implies that no one else is. But that can't be right. Please, yeah, then I really got to roll.
In regards to what we understand to be the curse of Ham, are you saying that that's not a Judaic concept, but more so something that has been imparted by way of the Christian church?
The curse of Ham, that references potentially it's on the African-American community, was an opinion that came about 1,000 years ago, which was about, way after the Torah was written and way after the Judean law was codified. And so it was simply an opinion of one man who was on the Judaic line of information, and he wrote it down, and people today use that potentially as leverage if they're own inner racism or not. I can say I do see tribes in Africa today that are doing things that I don't know if are part of the future, opening parts of their bodies and lips and blood, drinking blood. I can't judge. I'm not that wise. There's probably a lot of wisdom in Africa, but I will not say that the curse of Ham is on the black people. I would not say that that is something that is a rule of the Torah or a rule of Judaism. That was one man's opinion that I don't have to subscribe to if I don't want to. And that's it, because you got a final question?
Right,
okay.
That particular passage wasn't Torah? That wasn't prescribed to something that came directly from Noah?
We believe there was a curse, but to identify that curse on the black man came about 1,000 years ago as one man's idea and opinion.
We found the curse again. Okay.
Right. So there could be people cursed today. I can't know who. All I could say is be positive and be righteous and fix the world.
Give you a compass for who's cursed so you can stay the hell away from those cursed people.
God kind of left us in the exile on our own for a few thousand years, and we got to figure this stuff out on our own.
You on your own. I can't mess with no God like that.
Right. The nations of the world.
Who's the Gentile?
The Goy is used to refer to the people of Israel as well at certain parts. Goy just means nation. A Gentile, or what some would say, is not subscribing to the Torah. And if there's any Jew who does anything wicked or anything racist, be it he cannot find that in the Torah that he's allowed to do it. You can call him wicked, you can call him evil, and he has to pay for his sins. There is no exemption for an evil man, Jew or not Jew. On that note, I really got to roll. But I'm looking forward to the future.
Hey, Zion, man, you need to get your ass over here, man. You talk all that crazy talk. I done flew into town, and you not here. Come on, Zion, what's up? You should have came up in here, man. All right, peace, Harry. I thank you for your time and your energy. You know, we're going to heal this world. I appreciate your time and energy, man. We can't do that until you tell the truth. You got to tell the truth, man. You can't do it until you tell the truth.
Say haters gonna hate. I don't know.
Haters are going to hate. We're not doing no hugs until you tell the truth.
That's right. Hey, Harry, we see you March 20th. You know it.
Thanks for the interview, though. Yeah, show up, man. Show up. We lightened up on you, man.
Yeah, all right, man. Take it easy.
You ain't get it like they get it on the streets from me.
Okay, now, Brother Polight. Now we here with you.
If you're conscious and awakened, you heard about saneter TV. If you're conscious while you're hating, some of us think too small, just too afraid to fall. If you're conscious and awakened, you know that the studio gets deep. Black news and history in the making. Let's get up from the fall, wise up and take it all.